If you see that part of me,
Yeah.
you will not love me. You will not want me. If you see that part of me,
You'll reject me all over again,
Yeah.
meaning from the earliest attachment experiences of being turned away when you need.
So in this series, we're examining the attachment themes strewn throughout the FX Hulu show, The Bear. We will be discussing in detail each episode as the story unfolds, so that you can watch or rewatch before you listen and then follow along with our discussion. We have seen all the episodes, but we won't discuss any content beyond the episodes we're discussing. So if you haven't seen the show, press pause now, go watch, and hop back onto the podcast.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, Michael. We're doing this thing again. We're still doing it.
Drinking,
That too.
having a lovely bevy.
Lovely bevy. Yeah, this is a Espresso Old Fashioned. Have you ever had such a thing?
Only with you.
Yeah.
Only with you, love.
Are we British today? Okay. I like it. It's a little, to me, it's a little smoother and than an espresso martini, which the martini has a little bit more like creaminess to it. This feels more velvety.
Creamy, I would say
Silky.
Silky.
Yeah.
I would say it's brighter.
This one or the espresso martini?
No, a martini.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think I much prefer the old fashioned.
Actually, you would say brighter, and I would say you're wrong. But okay.
But okay. Cute. Oh.
But that is, yes. And we are actually following through with posting the recipes.
Yes.
And how to make that's what a recipe is. How to make the drink that we're consuming on the show.
Absolutely.
So right now our goal, should we share our goal?
No, we have no goals. We're aimless.
That's not true. I have
I know.
goals.
What are our goals?
On Tuesdays, we release
A new episode.
new episodes. Wednesdays are our recording days, and we do a live
Yep.
that are just simply amazing.
We do
and-
lives, reels, and various sundries.
We're going to name it wrong because we're boomers.
Yeah.
That's not true. Are you a boomer?
Not
This is a
technically.
totally side note.
Mm-mm.
Okay. And Thursdays, we're releasing a video on the socials of the cocktails that are being made with the recipe.
Yeah, because we're doing Thirsty
Thursdays.
Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for
follow
another
along.
cocktail.
Cocktail. Clink.
Cheers. Clinkly clink.
All right. So we are on episode 3 of season 2,
Yeah.
The Bear.
Titled Sundae.
Yeah. You usually have good insights on the titles. Anything come to mind?
Well, I thought the only one thing that came to mind is there's often a Sunday fun day, but any day could be a fun day because every day of the week ends with the rhyming.
I was just worried this is going to keep going.
But I think I hear it often Sunday fun day.
Oh.
Weekend. And there's that theme in the very opening scene of what is fun, as Carmi can't know it intuitively.
It is my kind of fun.
Yeah,
Defined fun.
must Google it, define it. Thank you, Webster. Yeah. And then also the theme of Carmi and Sid were supposed to have a fun day together. Mm-hmm. Carmi ends up having perhaps a fun day with a love interest, Claire.
Playing hooky.
Yeah. But then it ends in that beautiful scene. Not ends. No, it doesn't end. But Sydney's food escapade ends with her sitting in a dessert parlor, eating a massive sundae, getting a glimpse of what I imagine is she's remembering and mourning the loss of a mother-daughter, eating sundaes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you eat Sundays with your family?
I have actually warm, fond memories of eating ice cream with particularly my father.
Okay.
My father was an ice cream eater.
Yeah.
And he would put the weirdest thing on it, peanut butter,
I've heard of it.
which people love.
Some they either love or hate.
Yeah. I've learned
Kind of like banana flavor.
Oh yeah, God no. And I don't like bananas. And
Oh,
so
but I eat bananas and vanilla ice cream.
and I do not like sundaes for that reason. In that way, a banana split
Yeah.
kind of sundae.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I had good memories, and I'm making great memories with my family, wife, and kids.
That's right, because you guys have not bought into. You live in Texas, and you haven't bought into that Bluebell is the best.
Correct. Nor have we bought into HEB as a second best.
All right, we're not going to raise the blood pressure today.
We are immigrants to Texas, and we are having a difficult time acclimating to Bluebell and HEB ice cream, that is. But we are super sold on Cincinnati, I believe, based Grader's
Yeah, it's
ice
just-
cream. You know,
whatever it is, and to clarify, whether this goes in the show or not, I don't care. But there is a difference between Bluebell and HEB ice cream,
correct.
because HEB has their own that
Yes.
actually tastes like Bluebell.
Oh,
It's very similar.
interesting. That's why we
So it's a good
don't
second.
like them either.
I don't know what's not to love. It's so good.
Speaking of espresso, I learned to love coffee through Haagen-Dazs coffee ice cream.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was my gateway drug into coffee.
Interesting.
Fun fact on
Fun fact.
Michael Leach's dietary,
Explorations.
culinary.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
All right.
So, anyhow,
I'm so glad we're talking about attachment.
well, those are attachment experiences. Yeah.
Yeah.
Core memories.
Memories.
Mhm.
Yeah, I grew up on Bluebell ice cream.
I'm sure.
It's the only ice cream.
I'm sure.
I've tried others. And
So,
it
okay.
just
So
doesn't work.
another fun fact. So when I hear Bluebell, I think Listeria because that huge
Don't even speak that. Like that
Listeria
is
outbreak that happened.
It was a one-time thing.
But it shut down Bluebell and
did.
it shut down all of Texas. And that's sort of my core memory of Bluebell
That's so
because
sad.
moving here at when we did. And
Like one that was tragic, and people got very sick, and some died, I believe. But this is awful. The tragedy I experienced is they never came back with the pumpkin.
appropriate for the season.
It wasn't pumpkin spice. It was something else, but it was a very fall flavor. And,
Very fall forward.
and Tiffany and I loved the flavor. And we looked for it every October, and they
Oh.
haven't brought it back.
Oh, what a
since.
tragic story. I almost want to hug you, except I'd rather just make fun of you.
I thought we were trying to get sponsors as opposed to.
Yeah. Well, all right, Bluebell, bring back the pumpkin.
And don't kill anyone.
All
Oh,
right.
It's so sad.
That was
Okay.
unexpected.
I don't know what to do with that. Moving on.
So, this episode, as you nicely pointed out, it is seemingly void or devoid of any sort of attachment, anxiety, entanglement, classification, pursuers. It is full-blown 30 minutes of dismissive avoidant attachment
Just trying to get through life.
in the ways that they do.
Right.
Yep.
Trying to get from point A to point B
Sure.
seamlessly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about is in general or in theme, dismissive avoidant attachment and
Right.
all the ways that we saw it.
And so as a reminder, with dismissive avoidant attachment, one way we talked about in one of our first episodes is that it can be miscategorized, mislabeled, misobserved, perceived.
Yep.
Thank you for that word.
Misinterpreted.
Yes, as unveiling. And that, what we emphasized then and we'll emphasize today, is simply not true. The dismissive avoidant have deep feelings. The problem is when you're looking at it, it's all internal. They don't share it. It's not.
They don't wear it on their
Right.
sleeves, on their face. Yep.
They may wear it on their face. I wear mine on my face.
You don't wear your emotions. You wear your reactions on your
That's
face.
true.
That's very different.
They're different.
You don't
Okay.
wear your I'm scared on your face
No.
or I'm feeling insecure.
No, like, but this is a great example. My insecure, my I'm scared is flat.
Yeah.
It's very stoic.
Yeah.
Don't see it.
However, your disapproval.
Loud and proud. You did what?
You're making what choice?
So yeah, that's one thing about that we'll highlight here and follow through. That in all of it, they're all feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the misnomer and the misinterpretation, and it's an understandable interpretation. It's just a misinterpretation. Is that
You're wrong.
yeah. Is that avoidant dismissive attachment folks are unfeeling, as steady and stoic and unnervous.
But brings us back to actually a comment we got on one of our episodes about us labeling Carmi as dismissive avoidant, and that it's not the same as doesn't mean we, meaning you and I, being our avoidantness, that we can't be reactive.
Oh yeah. Yeah, another listener's perspective highlighted Carmi's reactiveness, and thus sort of conceptualized him differently, which I can follow that line of thought.
Absolutely. I think that's the nuance of this, though, and you just kind of seamlessly pointed out that I don't wear my emotion on my face, but my reactivity is there. And so I still react. I can get mad.
Sure, especially when pushed to an edge.
In a corner. Yeah.
Sure.
We're going to react.
Or when you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or sad. Halts.
Yeah. Is that AA language?
Yeah.
Yeah. A client actually brought that up in my session, in one of my sessions this week. And I was like, it's like, oh, that's good. I'm like, oh, wait, I've heard that before. So, yes, that's where we'll be looking at that. And I want to hold that perspective. I like that you pointed that out of the difference between how you hold the emotion and how we react to it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the strategies in addition to of the dismissive avoidant or withdrawal strategies. Some would, like one of them is to turn down the volume.
Yeah.
To de-escalate, an attempt to de-escalate.
Yep.
Not that they're successful.
Sure.
at
Or
all.
certainly not always successful.
Right. But to turn it down. What are some others you can think of?
They try to solve problems or dilemmas that may be best solved in the interpersonal field, best solved in relationships.
Yeah.
They tend to solve those kind of dilemmas or problems independently, intrapersonally within them.
Yeah.
And being unaware or unable to understand or identify how these kinds of problems would actually be best solved interpersonally with the support of others, with a listening mind, a sounding board, feedback, support, encouragement, those sorts of things.
Right. Because they're really driven to not burden.
That's
In
right.
an effort not to burden, they take it on internally by themselves.
Yes.
Alone.
Which is rooted in the childhood kinds of experiences where when they came to their caregivers with their attachment needs being a need for closeness, reassurance, soothing, comforting, being seen, known, understood, they were turned away by their caregivers. They were essentially encouraged to take those kinds of needs out of the interpersonal field and go deal with those independently.
Go to your room and come back when you have a better attitude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Figure it out yourself. What were you thinking?
Stop crying.
Yeah. those sorts of things.
All
Or-
things that come off the tongue so easily.
I mean, that's right, especially for some more than others.
Uh-huh.
Another example might be, oh, I just lost it. Maybe a parent sort of changing the topic, changing the conversation topic, sort of just not responding, and then changing entirely subjects, maybe talking about themselves.
So the message the child receives is, "Oh, we don't talk about that,"
That's right. And
you don't talk about that with me.
That's right. And you probably shouldn't talk to anybody about it. And you should essentially really talk to yourself about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we come by it naturally.
Always. Yes. Everything and always.
And then the complex of the dismissive avoidant, you say I talk about it in this way, which I think is funny. I do talk about it in this way.
Yeah. And I learned it from you.
Is the dilemma of not being enough. Is one of the dilemmas that's always present and fearful of not being enough.
Yeah.
AKA failing.
In the dismissive attachment mind, conscious or otherwise.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's always nearby. One step away from.
Yeah, and thus a kind of an attempt to prove that they are enough. That I have enough intelligence, I have enough skill, I have enough courage or fortitude to solve this dilemma, problem, complex situation, issue by myself, or not with the involved parties.
And I think that's a nuance of it too, though, is because we're all motivated to not be alone, to not be abandoned, to not be separate, I believe. Even though they're going off to be alone, it's in the name of solving and taking care of the relationship. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Said another way, it's in the service of trying to maintain the relationship.
Yes.
I'm going to go away, try and solve these problems independently in order to preserve the relationship, in order to maintain the relationship, and in order to increase the likelihood that you're going to be there for me when I need you.
And of course you'd be there because I've solved it. I've taken care of it. I've done the work. I've done whatever I'm supposed to do.
And it's a trap. It's a perpetual, unfulfilling, even if it worked a few times and was necessary and was the best strategy in one's childhood.
So let's take a look at the different ways we saw that in the episode. Because again, this episode was full. I mean, not only full, it was void of really any entangled, anxious attachment or disorganized attachment. And so I want to talk about two kind of smaller cases because it's mostly between Carmi and Sid. But there were two other scenarios where I think we just saw remnants of it, but they're, I think, really great examples. One is with Ibra.
Yeah. Whom I love.
Yes. Who doesn't?
I mean, some people, I'm sure. Ask Reddit. You'll find somebody who hates everybody. Why
do we keep giving Reddit playtime?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so Ibra.
Yeah.
He is being given the opportunity from the perspective of Sid and Tina to grow, to learn, to advance in his career. He may be interpreting it as you need to get better.
Sure.
Because as you are
is not good enough. Yeah.
And so it looks like he's internalizing that quite literally.
Internalizing what?
I'm not enough as I am.
Oh, yeah. I would say that he's projecting it.
Okay.
And then taking it back into him because it's already there.
So help our viewers who are the people. Understand what it, and who can't see us because they're listening to Spotify or something.
Sure.
When you say project, they don't see your motion of the projection.
Yeah,
screen.
That's right. Right. So, if we are right in our assumptions and our conceptualizations of these people, so that Ibra is would be classified as dismissive, avoidant, attached. Yeah, in his classification. So then what that means is what's already inside him and operating in him, the interpretive world of his eyes, ears, gut, he's going to perceive the world already as confirming and testing. And the final conclusion is again going to be that I am not enough and that I need to keep trying to prove that I'm enough. And so he will project, meaning like a projector, old school, like a TV screen is projecting an image on. A projector projects an image out onto a screen. And so Ibra may project onto Tina, onto Sid or Carmi or the chefs or the school, this complex of that I'm not enough. And you're going to think that of me. And then he'll take any bit of sign that could possibly be interpreted that way. He'll take that in and internalize it. But it's already internalized to begin with. It's already there. Kind of what we talk about is that confirmatory bias.
Yeah.
And so he's going to culinary school looking for all of this evidence that's testifying to that he doesn't belong. He's not going to be able to rise up to the occasion. He's not enough. He can't be enough.
And something that you often point out is when we have an insecure attachment, we also can't perceive others accurately.
Yeah.
We can't take in what may be real.
Yes.
And something that's happening over and over again between Tina and Sid with Ibra is they're like, oh, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
You're capable.
Mm-hmm.
This is good.
Yes.
But he is not able to fully take that in.
Yep.
He just sees all the ways he's going to fail, all the traps that are set.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, my heart just breaks the moment he's there. You can tell how nervous he is.
Yes.
And he goes to open his knife bag and just knocks all the pots over.
Yeah, that's the previous episodes. But yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This episode, it's the final sort of crescendo where he doesn't even walk through the front door. He kind of just comes, sort of takes it all in and then turns away.
That's right.
And then you get those images of Tina there worrying about him, wondering where he is, feeling alone.
The idea, that fear, that the projection that I'm going to be forgotten, I'm going to be left out, set aside. I think that's exactly what he's doing. He's projecting that. It's no one's there to receive it or affirm that, but he can't.
Yeah, in fact, it's just the opposite. They're showing Tina what I would say is worrying about him, looking for him, thinking about him, wishing he was here, longing for his co-support. Yeah, the mutual. We were going through this together, kind of as peers and as equals.
Yeah.
So Ibra is a great example of he solves that whole dilemma by not talking to Tina about how he's feeling. He doesn't talk to Sid about how culinary school is going. He doesn't talk seemingly to the teachers, the chefs at the school. He's like, I'm going to solve this problem all by myself by retreating, withdrawing, and therefore no one's burdened with my feelings, with my needs for encouragement, my needs for affirmation, my needs for support. I'm going to find all that by myself somewhere else, probably not in an interpersonal field.
Which I find in the couples work is the exact opposite. The moment the partner opposite of them discovers they had those feelings, they had those fears, there's such a longing of, I want to know that. I want to be there for that. I want to be your safe, wise other.
Yeah.
But in the dismissive mind, it's not conceivable.
That's right. It's inconceivable.
If you see that part of me,
Yeah.
You will not love me. You will not want me. If you see that part of me, you'll
reject me all over again,
Yeah.
meaning from the earliest attachment experiences of being turned away when you need.
Yeah. So
Ibra.
you withdraw our avoidant people. Take a risk. Let it be known. Try it out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Go ahead and do it.
Go ahead and do it. Yeah.
It's simple, really. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about was a really lovely relationship.
Yeah.
It's really sweet to see this dynamic was between cousin and his daughter, Eva. Tell me what you saw.
Well, I what I can tell you is I didn't see it the way you saw it, and I'm glad to see it. I have a special place for cousin in my mind somehow, some reason, and I love the shift in him from his work self that is a troublemaker and jealous and envious and undermining and problematic to then when he's with his daughter, there's just a tenderness of heart that I love, and that he is so clearly working hard and would do anything for this daughter that he loves.
He's so flexible.
Sure. As much as he can. That's
in and
right.
out of like trying to understand what she's thinking, understand what he's doing.
Yes.
As he's engaging with her.
Yes. Yeah. So I just focused on how beautiful their relationship was, and how much he loves her. And I think how much she knows that. But your insight really awakened and turned the lights on to just how uncomfortable Eva is with his tenderness.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have a familiar space in her.
Sure.
And I also just noticed that she seemed to be trying to manage adult concepts and being uncomfortable with it.
Absolutely.
So holding that mom has a boyfriend and mom has a new job.
But mom's called, and the boyfriend's called uncle.
Yes.
That she probably unconsciously knows is not an uncle and is more a romantic partner.
Right.
But can't put words to it. Doesn't want to have to put words to it.
And she's holding concepts like you still have to pay child support because fair is fair. And
or
so
the law is the law, or legal decrees, or adult relationships are what they are.
And there's a knowing that child custody finances is a thing.
Sure.
And she's having to, in her little world, she's managing it somehow.
Yes.
She's making sense of it.
Yes.
And so I find her extremely uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And she's doing great in how she's trying to show up. Like there's nothing wrong with her.
But she's clearly burdened by the way that she avoids the intimacy between she and her father. She doesn't receive and mirror back the intimacy and tenderness that he's offering.
Because he's really tender and he says, I love taking care of you.
Yes.
And I always will. And she's
responds
jokes with, I know, Dad, and sticks out her tongue.
Yep.
And so there is that little glitch there of like, she couldn't embrace it. She couldn't sink into that.
Yep.
She had to put up something to say, that's too close. That's I'm not ready for that. And so I think that's the budding of a dismissive avoidant.
No, I hear that. And then uses humor to find another way of connecting with her father, which I think is beautiful and is the survival nature of attachment, right? It's all a strategy to deal with your environment.
Right.
And so she finds a way of making a connection with her father. And I love that he's able to mirror that back.
That he was flexible with that.
Yes.
He didn't go, no, I'm serious.
No, that's right. That's right. He joined.
You don't stick your tongue out at Dad.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. But you really highlighted how Eva is this budding or is already in a insecure dynamic as she's grappling with adult themes, adult concerns, and thus probably not really talking about her own needs with her father or with her mother. She's
it's interesting. She was talking about mom's needs.
That's right.
And his needs.
Yep.
Never mentioned
her own
and how she was doing. Yeah.
And then the scene sort of ends playfully and humorously, as I think most parents have had a moment of having enough of Taylor Swift with
Yeah.
our young kids who are blaring it all day, every day.
I love Taylor Swift.
Absolutely. I'm a
And I'm
Swiftie.
quoting him.
Yeah.
I like Taylor Swift
That's
too,
right.
but
But I just needed a
I
break.
just needed a break.
But again, it highlights his need.
His need, exactly.
Even
He
though
put
he's
that on her.
trying to apologize and take care of her.
Right.
It's that classic dynamic of the way in which in dismissive dynamics we de-emphasize the child's neediness and we emphasize the adult's neediness. We turn the child away from looking at their own needs.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't see it that way. In part, I'm sure, because of my own history and relationships. And I loved seeing it differently.
Yeah. And I think I love this show. I think they do relationships so authentically. And I think that was everything about that was so real. And again, I love his flexibility. And I think that flexibility and curiosity is what is going to bring healing. If we can continue to attune that way, healing and security, I think, can be earned.
Absolutely.
So good job, cousin. All right. So let's go on to Carmi and Sid, which I think this episode was mostly about them.
Sure.
And the dynamic they're trying to figure out. To me, it seems like they're trying to figure out, well, let me back that up. It seems like Sid is trying to figure out whether she's a partner or she's a sous chef. It seems like Carmi says she's a partner, but views her as a sous chef. And
or whether he views her that way, he may just treat her that way.
There we go.
Yeah, it may not be
Right.
so conscious to him. He may consciously think of her as a partner, want her as a partner, view her as a partner, but behaviorally, it's as though he views her as the sous. Yeah.
And how the dismissive theme, I think, attaches to that is they don't talk about it.
Yeah, that's right.
They just keep having ruptures. And,
That's right.
And having
And confusions
solutions.
and
Yeah, confusions, ruptures, and then just trying to do something to move on, but not really lean into it.
try
understand
to
it.
quickly resolve it, put a Band-Aid on it, distract from it,
Yeah.
apologize, rubbing.
Oh, yeah. That was actually funny. I love that scene. She's like, "Oh, did I give you heartburn?" And he did clarify there.
Oh, yeah.
He was more clear.
Originally, yeah.
He was like, "No, this means."
But did you notice
sorry.
she didn't do it back?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
At the end.
Correct. At the
Yeah,
end. Because it wasn't a real repair. Just like I don't think it was a real I'm sorry.
Right.
It seemed like a passive aggressive
Well, let's
spar.
talk about leading up
Yeah,
to
sorry.
that.
I jumped to the end. Your favorite. I just gave you anxiety. Sorry.
We had this whole thing
I
about going
know,
in order.
exactly. Anyways, and then in the end, Carmi dies. Oh, wait. Spoiler.
Spoiler
No,
alert.
that's not true.
Yes. So they're on a journey to create the chaos menu. And Sid wants a Michelin star, and which is going to require giving it her all.
Yeah.
And Carmi is deciding to be a part of that journey. He's like, okay, this is what we got to do. So in the middle of them are renovating, having to overhaul, we learned to overhaul the whole restaurant itself physically. They're trying to come up with a menu that would be worthy of a Michelin star. And as they do that, they keep running into, it seems seemingly Sid messing it up.
Yeah.
Which I think we talked about. It doesn't make sense that like the things they make, they're like spitting out, choking on, like it's so disgusting.
As if.
And I'm like, I don't see how you go that far, but
And it's unfair to say that, in my mind, that Sydney's messing up. She's just naturally and inherently and necessarily failing to be perfect, in part because that's an illusion.
right.
And it's made up of a series of failures. That's called learning and growing and but she's experiencing it as failure for sure.
Right.
And she's troubled by the failure of these restaurants that have been closing, seemingly probably via post-COVID,
Right.
even though
Just couldn't make
restaurants
it.
fail all the time, irrespective of
Well,
COVID.
yeah, and so she's watching all these failures, and it seems like she knows of them, maybe friends with a lot of them.
Sure. She's familiar with her own failure of her own restaurant, catering business.
And she's taking the risk, but she's also following rules and she's creative as they're going through the menu. And on that first one, apparently it was too salty and it was marinated. Carmi says it was marinated too long. And he has an interesting view here because it seems like he's open. It doesn't seem like he's gone into his dismissive strategy.
Yeah.
He's feeling the freedom to just explore, create.
Yeah.
And so he's feeling in his element. He's feeling confident.
And he's feeling secure in the inherent nature of it's a series of failures. You're going to fail on your way to getting it right or to the success. That's inherent to the process. He seems very comfortable, secure, and safe. And it doesn't register as failure. It just registers as I'm on my way to success. And
it seems that he has a trust that he knows Sydney will get there.
Sure.
A belief in that.
Yeah. Including in his sort of attempt to encourage her. Mm-hmm. Hey, it was almost perfect.
It's almost. And like you were saying, like you've mentioned, like we can't take it in. We can't perceive accurately.
Sid's in a state of mind that she can only pay attention to the data of almost and not hear it as I think it's being offered and experienced as by Carmi as good. This is great. We are on the right path.
Right. And
both of our taste buds are needing a new experience. And like he's trying to encourage, and Sid can't hear it that way because attachment affects your perceptual experience,
understanding,
how you make sense of the world, how you experience the world, what data you pay attention to and what you don't pay attention to is predicated on the kinds of attachment classifications that we inherit or that we develop.
And almost perfect is failure.
Correct. You're right. Almost perfect in the tone that he offered it is confirmation that you're not enough. Almost perfect in the way that he the cadence that he said it confirms that she really needs to try and independently figure out how to get it there. Right? Like in the dialogue, she doesn't say, so what else could I have done? It's more of just like, I'll figure it out. I did it wrong. You're right. Retreat, withdraw. I'll do it better.
Yeah.
Rather than any sort of, hey, teach me.
So teach me would be more the secure.
That's right.
Lane.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting for us to not just confirm our bias of she's dismissive, avoidant, of what we might be looking for hearing if she was entangled or anxiously attached.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Got excited.
So do you want to say something?
No, I think you had a better way of articulating it. In the way that you see it show up in couples.
Yeah.
But in this couple, Carmi and Sid, I think you described it that Sydney might sort of attack Carmi in some kind of way. I don't know, but you take that over. You described it really well.
I'm going to try to remember it. But the idea is in the anxious attachment, their fear is different in that the fear of being too much. And it's not that they're holding in their mind that they are too much. It's the fear that you think I'm too much.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to misplace that blame. I'm going to displace it.
Yeah.
That blame. So if you say it was almost perfect, what I'd be looking for and anticipating with the anxious, entangled attachment is, Why did you give me the wrong recipe? Why weren't you more specific? Why didn't you show up when I needed you?
Yeah.
Why were you over there and I was over here? What's going on? Why did you do that? It's going to displace all of that to say, I'm not the problem. I'm here. I care. I'm showing up. This is important to me.
Yeah.
As how I might anticipate seeing that.
And highlighting how flat or seemingly unengaged
You don't care.
Carmi would be.
You obviously don't care.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would see in the couple dynamic. That's what I would see. But
if Sydney was in a more classification of a anxious and entangled attachment, we would anticipate her reacting that way.
Yeah.
Instead, she reacts in a more down-regulating way, inward way, withdrawal, direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alone. By herself.
That only gets reinforced
Yeah.
by being alone.
We come to the next dilemma.
Yeah.
Of, okay, I have my partner who says, hey, we just need to go try something else out. We need to go let our taste buds get unfucked. I think is how they didn't say that, but something of that nature. And so they plan a day, and she's ready to do the task. And yeah, this is another part of the journey. I want to just be better, but we'll go and do that. And then Carmi's faced with another dilemma of Claire.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Claire.
With love.
Yeah. With
Another love. Another thing that's fun.
The impromptu fun.
Sure. In this case, very much spontaneous and impromptu.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about like what you saw of him, how he dealt with the dilemma of Claire calling and confronting him. And then how he wrestled with how to make a decision or what to do.
Yeah. Well, the ultimate dilemma that Carmi is in is the eventual universal experience that we will have of competing desires. We want to do this, and they seemingly can't be both done, or they can't both be entirely done. And so he's in this competing desire to be with his business partner, doing the thing that he is trying to really enjoy, right? Like he had that in the monologue in the Al-Anon meeting, right? Like he's really trying to have fun while starting a new restaurant. And this was an opportunity to go have some fun with his partner, Sid, and frolic and play in the Chicagoland in their food scene. And then here comes knocking at the door via the phone, Claire, a love interest, and he gets caught by Claire in a really playful way that she navigates it with a kind of hide and seek kind of playful way, and she really pulls for him to affirm that you want to be with me. And
I would still say, though, maybe I don't know if this is important or not, that we don't have enough information to begin to classify her.
Claire, correct.
Yeah.
No,
that it's not just based on one interaction.
Oh, that she's particularly maybe perhaps securely attached. Yeah. Yeah. Even though she's trending that direction.
Okay.
In my mind. But yeah, no, that's right. And it's always questionable. Well, what are you doing with such a profoundly dismissively attached person? Normally, security seems to seek out security. Not always, but yeah. So Carmi's dilemma is, how do I solve the fact that I have a shit ton of things to do? Sorry, I'm cussing, but it's true that I cuss a lot. He's got all these things to do with the restaurant, let alone the whole day that he has set up with Sid. And now the invitation, the request to help out and spend some time with Claire. And he doesn't share any of that dilemma with Claire. He doesn't share it out loud. He doesn't say, oh, well, let me try and see how I can do this because I have all these things to do that I promised to do, that I need to do for the business, that I want to do. And I also want to hang out with you. He doesn't avail any of that internal dilemma and even ask Claire for help how to navigate that. He doesn't even give her the opportunity to say, oh, well, we don't have to do it today. Maybe we could do it tomorrow. Is
something
tomorrow
just
better?
came up for me that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
Maybe the thing, maybe not. What he agreed to wasn't to hang out with her and to be vulnerable and to like get to know and spend time with. He agreed to a task of, I have a van.
A doing.
So this part, I'll say that to me, that's interesting of like, oh, that's where it flipped. And he goes, yes, I can do that. But this, are we going to hang out, go on a date?
Yeah.
There was it seemed like a lot of uncomfortability.
Oh, sure. In a classic dismissive avoidant attachment, they are always eager to the doing as all sorts of means of getting their needs met, of intimacy, connection, closeness.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. We didn't talk about that earlier, but yeah. So he's also not talking with Sid. Hey, I got a dilemma. What do you think? He solves everyone's problems internally, and is going to seemingly fail everyone. We don't have evidence that he's failing Claire, or that she's going to feel like he's failing her. But I can easily imagine Claire feeling all sorts of feelings when she would learn that he totally bailed on Sydney, that she might feel discomfort. Like, I didn't know I didn't
ask you to do that.
I didn't ask you to do that. And that's unfair that you've sort of put me in that sort of position of you prioritizing me over Sydney, or over promises or plans that you made with Sydney, or over the restaurant. Like, I can imagine Claire having some feelings about that.
Absolutely.
So I see him independently, within himself, solving the dilemma that probably could have been best solved by a conversation both with Sydney and with Claire.
And I imagine he didn't, from a dismissive avoidant style, he doesn't really perceive not showing up for Sydney as a bad thing. In that she doesn't want me.
Sure.
She doesn't need me.
Yeah.
What she needs is to taste and explore. And so she can still do that without me.
Unburdened by me. She can do it more freely and in the way that she might want to do it, and go to the restaurants that she really wants to do, and not be worried about trying to impress me or any of that. Yep.
But again, you're wanted. Not just your, like,
wanted
your
and
presence
needed.
is wanted and needed. Your withness.
Your presence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that hard for you to fathom sometimes, since we've disclosed that we're both dismissive avoidant?
It is a challenge. It has been a challenge. Absolutely. No, I have absolutely seen that in myself as I've run and sort of led a counseling center with upwards of 30, 40, 50, 60 staff members, depending on the year. It's really been hard to grasp and hold on to, that they need me there, present. No, absolutely.
I'm trying to think of something in my own life that's like outside of work. I'm sure if I asked my wife, she would tell me here, 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 and here.
Yeah. Likewise. I mean, I could have answered that question.
That's all the ways
in the family
dynamics,
but that was the safer one.
I'm trying
at work.
Yeah. But this may even show right now just a very present process of it's hard to even perceive when this framework exists so intrinsically.
Yeah.
I would need some encouragement and reminding.
Yep. It often will not occur to me that my kids would want me to be somewhere.
Huh.
That what more often occurs to me is I'm going to go work to help support them, to facilitate something for them. And it won't sort of immediately or naturally first come to mind that they would want to know me or want to be with me or want my presence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so wanted.
I mean,
And so loved.
it's true.
Yeah.
Yet that's that danger of dismissive attachment. It's inconceivable. It's imperceivable. It doesn't occur to us. It just simply doesn't occur. It's not malicious.
So come to think of it like that, I would say Tiffany would say about me is when we host a party, she would much rather me be engaged with her and with the crowd, the guests. But I'm busy cooking, cleaning, arranging, serving, and I love doing it. I find a lot of purpose in that. But the whole evening will go by, and she's like, "Where were you?" I was like, "What do you mean? I was here the whole time. I did this, this, and this."
I did. Yep. I unburdened you by doing all these things.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
totally ignoring our own need to socialize or to be present with others or, yep.
I mean, I think we're the best. But...
I mean, come on now.
Well, we had more to talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe we do a bonus episode on the one you wanted to, the topics you wanted to go over on the sports metaphors you wanted to work on, which I was more intrigued to watch that
unfold.
See how that went.
It's good.
Yeah. A pleasure. Thanks for having fun. Planned fun.
Yes. We had fun all day.
All right. Cheers, my friend.
Bye.
See ya.